Healing and You presents Healing Research Update. Medical doctor and nutritionist Dr. Terry Shintani reports and comments on the latest nutrition research news from the leading scientific journals and publications as it relates to integrative medicine and medical nutrition therapy.
Hi, welcome to Healing and You and our health research update for this edition. I'm going to talk about a food that is really helpful in controlling, in providing protein, but helping you to control blood sugar and, other health conditions. In our dietary guidelines, they talk about getting enough protein. Well, unfortunately, in this country, we think of protein as fish and chicken and beef and pork and turkey and things like that. The reality is, when you talk about protein from those sources are actually mostly fat. They should be talking about, let's say you have a plate lunch and you say, well, what's your protein? And they talk about chicken or beef or pork. They should be saying, which fat do you want? Because all of those are more fat than protein. For example, beef is about 70% fat, chicken is about 57% fat, pork is somewhere around 60% fat. So it's really not accurate to say, which protein do you want? They should be saying, which fat do you want? And then it'll bring to reality what they're actually eating. Well, folks do need to have protein, but protein is found in vegetables and grains, and people don't realize when you say, which protein do you want? If you said beans, that'd be a great source. If you said rice, that would even be a good source. If you said kale, even that would be a good source because all of them have adequate amounts of amino acids and proteins in them on a calorie-for-calorie basis. So what's a really good source of protein for most folks? Well, you've got to look at beans. Beans are really a wonderful food that is not used enough. Beans are a great source of protein, and the thing is that beans also contain carbohydrates and fiber, but it's very low in glycemic index, and it tends to be very low in fat content. And that's the reason I think beans are so good. You have all the good stuff and not much of the bad stuff. For example, a great source of plant protein, you get somewhere around 6 to 8.5 grams of protein per half cup serving of beans. In clinical trials, they find that healthy participants who ate at least 1 cup daily of cooked beans reduced their cholesterol levels by 8%. Well, what a deal. If you ate protein from a meat source, I guarantee you your cholesterol will go up. But in this case, why not get a protein source that lowers your cholesterol reliably? In another study, which followed more than 16,000 middle-aged men in the U.S. And other countries for 25 years, those with the highest legume, that's bean consumption, were 82% less likely to die of heart disease. 82%. How would you like to reduce your risk of heart disease by 82%? Well, be in that category where you eat more beans rather than animal protein. Also, the fiber in beans may help encourage healthy bacteria in the digestive tract. Now, recently in the last several years, gut flora has emerged as an important factor in long-term health. And this could be a reason why eating more beans is related to a lower risk of colon cancer. Beans also has a combination of fiber and protein and makes for a good combination for blood sugar regulation. And this is more important these days because of the recent finding that about half of all Americans have abnormal blood sugar levels. And, what's in beans besides protein and carbohydrates and fat? And, by the way, it's low in fat with about somewhere around 0.1 or 0.2 grams of fat per serving. They provide many of the essential nutrients like potassium, iron, folic acid, magnesium, and there's some calcium in beans as well. Also manganese and thiamine. By the way, these are foods that are essential for the synthesis of acetylcholine, which helps keep your brain healthy. And also, eating some of these phytonutrients have antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. And here's another bonus, which we've talked about in the past in relation to blueberries. Blueberries are blue because of a substance known as anthocyanins, which are powerful anti-cancer and anti-inflammatory compounds. Well, black beans are full of anthocyanins like blueberries, so black beans are actually an excellent choice. And by the way, that's what makes blackberries black. It's actually kind of a very dark blue. So many, many benefits from eating beans. So consider including more beans in your diet and consider that as a better source of protein. So that's one report. The next report relates to the acetylcholine. Remember we said that acetylcholine helps to keep your brain healthy. Well, there are other things you can do to keep your brain healthy. There's actually a new study on some of these substances. Here's a new one, though, that I hadn't heard about. It's called snowdrop flower. This is an herb that you can find in a health food store. And snowdrop flower has a peculiar substance known as galantamine, which is found in your brain. Now, galantamine is an inhibitor of acetylcholinesterase, which is an enzyme that breaks down acetylcholine. And they find that when you have higher levels of galantamine, you will also have better levels of acetylcholine, which suggests that taking snowdrop flower may help you maintain your levels of acetylcholine in your brain, preventing its breakdown by inhibiting acetylcholinesterase, and it may mean an improved memory. The FDA has already approved galantamine for the treatment of Alzheimer's disease, and the recommended starting dose of galantamine is about 8 milligrams per day. And they say it can even be increased up to 24 milligrams per day, depending on your tolerance. So how's that for a couple of interesting items for our health research update?
Well, I got to say something. Are you done?
I'm done for that.
Okay. I started cooking beans because one of the participants in your last program, Scott W., went on vacation to California. During the program, he left for about a day or two, and he brought us back some of those, what do you call that, those special beans. They're like heritage beans, or what do you call them? They're I forgot. Well, anyway, there were really special beans, and so I didn't want to waste them. A lot of times people give me food and things, and I can't eat them because I'm a finicky eater. So unfortunately, I give them away. But this guy gave me the beans, and I thought, such a healthy thing. So I actually pressure cooked it, and it was delicious. So now, if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, you're always hungry. And I started buying all kinds of beans, like butter beans and pinto beans and red beans, and now I'm going to buy those black beans. But I soak them overnight, which makes them tender. Otherwise, they can be pretty tough. And then after I soak them overnight, I pressure cook them. And, there's quite a bit. You can put them aside in the refrigerator. Anytime you're hungry, you can snack on them. And I use a lot of soy sauce because I don't have to worry about hypertension. And they are delicious. So anybody out there, needing ideas about snacking, a lot of vegetarians and vegans are always looking for things to snack on. Try beans.
Right, I think it's great, and you can do bean dips as sandwich spreads. And we have that recipe for simple hummus, which is garbanzo bean dip. But you can also do black bean dip, for that matter.
And your report gave us good reason to be eating these beans.
Right. All right, so that's our health research update for today. And I also, do you want to announce our Vegetarian Society speaker?
This coming Tuesday, Antonia Demas. She's coming, and she will be speaking at the Vegetarian Society this Tuesday, November 10th, 7 p.m. at the Alawai Golf Course Clubhouse. And Antonius Demas will be speaking on why our future depends on understanding how food can promote the health of people and the planet. And Dr. Shintani, did you want to say something about Antonia Demas? Because she's PhD, Dr. Antonia Demas.
I actually know her very well. I met her because of Dr. T. Colin Campbell. And I know her personally. I've spoken to her on the phone personally, and she's just a wonderful person. I think you should hear her talk.
She says, our children are growing up in a world very different from the world most adults experienced in their youth. And that's really true. I've seen in my lifetime how things have changed for the worse in terms of food and nutrition.